Hey YouTube, what's up? So obviously I had to make the decision of whether I want to get the phalloplasty or the metodioplasty. My decision was to get the metodioplasty. I had the conversation with my therapist about a year ago, and it's kind of based on two reasons. The first reason is that phalloplasties aren't as developed, especially here in the United States. I'm not familiar with any well-known surgeon here in the United States that does it. Most of them are over in Europe, and it is extremely costly. And the second reason why I'm not choosing that is because you have to get a major skin graft to create the phallus, and unfortunately a lot of times the nerves, and when they reconstruct that, they don't respond to your natural body. And so unfortunately if that happens, then you technically have like a dead limb afterwards, and there's really no correction to that. Once nerves are dead, they're dead. Neurons don't rejuvenate themselves. Nerve cells are gone once they're dead, and you are born with practically all your neurons. The things that change over the years are the connections that can be made between them. So unfortunately if those don't take, then you're out of luck, and you have a functioning reproductive organ, but in the fact that you would be able to go to the bathroom and have intercourse, but unfortunately you wouldn't have any sensation with it. So obviously that's very important to a lot of people, and so that's why I chose a metodioplasty, because Dr. Bowers here in the United States is one of the leading surgeons with that, and it is all natural. It is done with all your parts that you already have. There's nothing added. There's only things taken away, which are internal, which I'll talk about more. So to me it just seemed like the most logical choice. Now with her, there are several different options with the metodioplasty. It's kind of like a bundle, what you can choose. And she offers, which most, I guess, surgeons that provide this would give you these options too, but hers in specific are a simple metodioplasty and then a ring metodioplasty. Now simple metodioplasty is just the urethral lengthening, and you can pair that up also with a complete hysterectomy, and that's a lot simpler, it's a lot cheaper, and the only trade-off is that you won't be able to urinate standing up. They don't redirect the urethra and through the urethral lengthening through that reconstruction. So that is kind of like one major decision factor for most people. That was my main deciding factor, that I didn't want that, because to me the surgery itself is important, for getting the hysterectomy to be mentally kind of cleansed of any female organ, anything having to do with being female origin. In fact, to have the complete hysterectomy just kind of mentally completes myself, knowing that there aren't any of those parts. And then the reconstruction part of it is important, but not as important. Like, I'm not all about being aesthetically pleasing. I don't need something to be so inches to be impressive to someone. That's not important to me, because I know whoever I do end up with in the long run will love me for who I am and won't judge me based on size. So that's not as important to me. But it also, another important factor to me is being able to go to the bathroom standing up, just because when you're a guy, that's something you don't really question. You just kind of do. You grow up knowing how to do that, and when it's not given to you, that's a big deal. And so that's something that I really look forward to being able to do, and not having to use STP or anything like that. So that's my other deciding factor. So I decided personally to go the ring metodioplasty, which is a little bit more expensive, but to me it's worth it in the long run. And another option you can choose is to get testicular implants, and that is just basically kind of like what a breast implant would be. They take silicone inserts and create like a testicular sac, using the labia major and minus, which if you know anatomy, you know what I'm talking about. That's just the skin from that. I guess the flap. They use that, and they will insert the silicone into that. It's done as a separate procedure aside from the metodioplasty, so you would return and get that. A lot of times it's recommended against to get that because A, it's not really necessary just because it's more aesthetically pleasing, and B, they can cause complications just because it is in a very sensitive area, and like the silicone can just agitate your body, blah blah blah. So I'm fairly certain that I'm not going to get that. After I talk further with Dr. Bowers, I may change my mind, but as of right now, I'm probably not going to get that just because I don't really need it. No one's going to see it except my partner, and no one's going to make fun of me for not having that if they don't know, so there's no really need to pay more money for something that's just going to be aesthetically pleasing to myself, which I don't need. So with the ring metodioplasty, what the procedure is to start off with a complete hysterectomy, which is defined as a salpingo-oophorectomy hysterectomy. It's removal of the ovaries, fallopian tubes, and the uterus, which are all the female reproductive parts. It's removal of all of those, and then what they go in is they take the urethra and they will redirect that through the new phallus, which the phallus is created by re-sculpting or elongating and then kind of like reforming what was the clitoris, and they reform that, and then they surgically close off any other orifice, and they take the labia major and minus, and that's kind of like what is like that, and then they kind of close that off below, which is where they could do the testicular implants. If not, it just kind of looks like deflated testicles in a way, and they take those together and they surgically close those, which naturally, and once the stitches dissolve, will just be a natural closing, and then what was the clitoris will be kind of reformed or resculpted to and elongated to become your new phallus, and then the urethra obviously would be elongated through that so you can go to the bathroom standing up. And if the doctor keeps the skein, I believe that's how it's pronounced, the skein gland intact, that is what creates like ejaculatory fluid. So if that gland is kept intact, then you are able to ejaculate like normal. So there's a little anatomy lesson for you, and it's actually really interesting. I've taken anatomy courses and I'm very interested in it. Obviously I'm interested in my own body and knowing how the functioning of it is, and I'm interested in being able to explain the differences to people. So I've done a lot of research on it, and it's actually very interesting how much alike male and female bodies are. A lot of people think they're so much different just because, when you look at the reproductive organs, they obviously look different, but in all reality, they're not different at all. They just have different kind of a little different functioning, and internal structures are somewhat different. But actually, in the womb, when a fetus is being formed, they kind of default start off as female in a way before they get given their specialized tasks. So kind of they all have homologous structures, which like a female ovary is homologous to a male testicle. In the womb, for females, they stay upward, and for a male, they'll drop down to the testicles. What the fallopian tubes are that connect the ovaries in a female are the vas deferens in the male, and both of those are what deliver the sperm or the egg. And then the male or the female uterus is homologous with the male prostate gland, and that's where everything is kind of created. That's where things are. That's where you're like sperm and egg cells are kind of created and held and everything. So you know, for male, everything just kind of drops down. Female, it kind of just stays right there. And so all the external functions of it, like the female clitoris and the male actual penis, are exactly the same, just a little bit of different function. Male is more out, and a female is more in. So it's really interesting that, you know, you tell people that you're getting this surgery, and they kind of freak out and think it's a big choice or a big decision or something like really major, but really in all reality it's not, because it's just manipulating kind of what you have to have the same function of what you mentally are, or the gender of what you mentally are. It just kind of reforms the things to function as the way that you should have naturally been born with, but just unfortunately weren't. So, you know, next time if anyone is deciding to get bottom surgery and someone criticizes them for making such a rational decision, or irrational decision, then, you know, you can go through and give them a little anatomy lesson and say, hey, it's really not changing that much, just a little bit. Things have to kind of get repositioned in order for it to function correctly. So that's kind of my little spiel today.
Oh my gosh! There's no fur!
So, back in high school, we made this pact that by the time we were 30, if we didn't find someone special, we would find each other no matter what, and marry. And I'm so fortunate to have realized that you were my special someone. I love you.